tradition holds that I'm supposed to tell a few self-deprecating jokes this evening. So here it goes. Nope, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. There's nothing to say. I guess I just don't see the point of taking shots at myself when other people have been shooting at me for a hell of a long time and they shoot at. But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. But Catholics, please don't be too insulted by Kamala's absence. If the Democrats, he says, thank you very much, I appreciate it. If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden. You know, he's having second thoughts, you know that, right? He wants to come back. If she does any worse in the polls, they're going to bring him back again, I think. Chuck, he's going to do it. He's the one that got him out. That's the guy. Much more so than Crazy Nancy, I will tell you. Because I know him. He did it. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. And I actually said, do you mind if I do that? He said, no, you got to do what you got to do. He's a pro. He's a professional. No, he's a good man, actually. I hate to say it. Don't ever use it against me, please. They'll say, this dinner was really setting me back when I say that. But I've known him a long time. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. I'd like to thank our MC this evening, Jim Gaffigan. Most recently, Jim has been playing Tim Walsh on Saturday Night Live. And that'll be a very short gig, I hope, Jim. But it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Let's see how that lasts. It better be quick. We don't want him, and I'm not going to say anymore. But unfortunately, Governor Walsh isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was.
What's up, guys? Welcome.
He was on fire that night.
Yeah. That red-faced guy was Michael Bloomberg.
That was?
Yeah, that's Bloomberg.
Wow, has he aged?
Yeah.
Oh man, terrible.
Yeah, he looked awful. Those were just a few. I had to be selective of how many jokes.
Those are good, 'cause those are. I mean, I've only seen like those five. You know, this was some of those.
The whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing is unreal.
30 minutes long. I got to watch the whole thing. Yeah.
It's on the internet. Jim Gaffigan. He was cracking up laughing too, and the woman next to by it, that was his wife, who married funny, and she is still just cracking up laughing. Like, Trump's comedic timing is just impeccable. A whole week of just amazing stories in the campaign. Today, Trump does McDonald's.
Oh God!
Right. It's
my favorite thing I saw about that was, Trump works McDonald's, blah blah blah, and he finally fixed the ice cream machine. Because the ice cream machine's always down.
Yeah. Patricia Johnson. Jim looks like he just had a French fries from McDonald's. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Rest of Michigan stream. We got Scott, McMahan, Patty, and we've got some hilarious stories tonight. But first, we have to follow up a little bit. We're not going to go overboard like we did last weekend on the Kamala Harris death spiral. But man, is it just continuing? It's the whole week has been just characterized by Trump in his zone, in the groove, and Kamala just completely freaking out and panicking. That was Chuck Schumer just, falling apart. And then there was, they have their proxies now. So here is, let me let me get this this pulled up. We're not going to do too many clips now. We got some news to cover, folks. We have some actual news stories. But this was Barack Obama at a rally here, and just unbelievable. The desperation, you can just sense it. By the way, this guy's talking. Here's Matt Walsh commenting on this. Here's the clip. This is I'm not going to play the entire thing because it's like 2 minutes long. But here's where Barack Obama claims that if only Trump had taken his advice, all of the COVID deaths, or like a huge number of them, would have been prevented. So here's what he says. Here, let's play this.
Systems in all the states are seen right away. Businesses were going to have to shut down for a while. Travel was going to be restricted. But if you look at a country like Canada, their per capita death rate was 40% lower than it was here in the United States.
Yeah, okay, two things to that. First, Canada's a frozen shithole. Secondly, governors, like Trump wasn't the entire person behind all the COVID policy, but Obama isn't done. Here he goes.
So just do the math. That's more than 400,000 people. People's grandmothers.
Anyway, yeah, so that's Barack Obama.
Well, do they put as much shit in their food that we do? Are they as sick as we are? Like, we're the sickest country in the world and the fattest. So whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to factor in New York and Michigan, where the governors intentionally put sick people into homes.
Exactly.
Murdered well over 100,000 nursing home patients just right there.
Yep.
Yeah. But all this stuff just smacks of desperation. So, of course, the other big story in this past week was this Kamala Harris Brett Baier interview, and I don't have any clips handy from that, but you guys have all seen this. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you don't need to, because you just know from the media coverage how bad it was for him, for Kamala, that Brett was so mean, he was so unfair, and it was just, the same things we've been seeing, which he just was, grinding her on these like basic questions. Like, you still haven't said how you're different from Biden. And she has no answer for it. No answer at all. It's incredible. Like, anybody could come up with a simple answer for this. You could just say, without even getting into the policies, you could just say, you know what? I know what you're doing. You're asking me to badmouth my boss, who is my commander-in-chief, who sacrificed himself to give me this opportunity. I'm not going to do that. Like, there's your answer. Without even addressing the question head on, you could at least attack the question. Doesn't even think to do that. Although
what's amazing about that interview is that is the first time in her entire campaign that the American public has had access to her actual thoughts, unedited, filtered thoughts. That was her thinking without somebody else telling her what to say. She didn't know what to expect there. Exactly. She had her people all around her, I'm sure, like giving her signals and stuff. But
so I didn't know this. I thought this was going to be a full hour interview, and then suddenly Brett Baier's like, "We got a hard stop. We got to go. I'm being told we got to go," and it cuts off at a half hour.
Waving like lunatics to like stop the thing. Yeah.
Then he tells us afterwards, actually, no, that was her people shutting it down. That was her people saying we got to go.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Well, and she was like 15 or 20 minutes late.
Yeah. But the other thing is even if he might have had an answer that she still doesn't have for some reason. The other problem is, guess what? Nobody else can answer the question either. So Charlie Kirk, this is a hilarious clip of Josh Shapiro, who was probably supposed to be her running mate. I think he said no, but here's the
polls do show that more Americans feel as though President Biden's policies have hurt them rather than helped them. So can you name one key policy difference between Vice President Harris and President Biden? How would her administration look different?
I've been really encouraged by the amount of energy that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, has put into focusing on how she will cut taxes for small businesses. The focus on childcare tax credit expansion. That's something I've done here in Pennsylvania. That work to ease the burden on families. I think a focus on those kinds of things is particularly important. And those are the kinds of things I think Kamala Harris has brought specifically to this race.
Those aren't necessarily differences, though. They're an expansion or a tweak to some extent to what's been done. Can you name one policy difference?
No.
Well, listen, again, the contrast I am focused on, Kristen, is between her and Donald Trump.
Yeah, that is a hard no right there.
I mean, how can they not even just have some kind of canned answer by now? Right?
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was this moment, and this is just boy, this is unflippin' believable. Here we go. I gotta put this on the screen too. And then we're almost on with the clips, folks. But here we go. Listen to this.
They say if Kamala wins, then the whole country will be like Detroit. Okay?
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
They say if Kamala wins, then the whole country will be
the end right there. That's the clip. Was that supposed to be some kind of like clever reversal? And she goes on. She's like, we're Detroit. We're proud. We're proud and resilient, which is just like, you know, I mean, I've been to Detroit a lot lately because Trump's been doing a lot of campaign events there. Everyone in Detroit knows what it kind of, I mean, it's the, you know, the whole Detroit versus everybody. No one hustles harder than Detroit. But it's all coping and seething. It's all, I mean, they all know. Everyone knows what Detroit is. And to go out and say, oh, yeah, she's going to make everyone like Detroit is so great. Kamala will make everything like Detroit. No one's buying this garbage. It is so flippin' unbelievable. Allegan News, great question. What is the referring email for the email petition again? Thank you. Thank you for that. It is precinct leaders at, oh, I got to take this other thing off. How do I do that now? Hold on. Precinct leaders at gmail.com. Use it as your refer. We only have until tomorrow, folks, and then it goes away. Sorry, Patty. Yeah, sorry. There you go. Yeah, so that's the other thing. It's not even just Trump. And Trump's team just keeps getting bigger. Like 2 weeks ago was Bobby Kennedy. Now it's like Elon. Elon's having a blast too. He's going to all these campaign events. And then yesterday, just out of blue. By the way, I'm just going to give away $1 million at this campaign event. It's kind of brilliant. Like, imagine if, like, in a week from now, Trump decides to have a rally in, let's say, the Big House or Ford Field, and Elon goes, "Hey, by the way, one rally attendee there is going to get $1 million from me." You know that event's going to be selling out in a heartbeat right there. Man, oh man. Elon is having a lot of fun too. It's great. Here, I have a clip of Elon. I got to do this one too. Almost out of clips, guys. I promise we have content for this show. Scott's here for a reason. He's got some news to report. But here we go. Let me play this.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an interview with Mark Cuban and what's her name again? Rachel Maddow. But I couldn't tell which was which.
And there they are. They do look, the resemblance is striking, I must say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Can't wait. You know, he's coming to Michigan one of these days. Apparently, he's now offering $100 for every signature in Pennsylvania, but not Michigan. I am insulted. But apparently, I guess that magic number 19 in Pennsylvania is much more important than the 15 Michigan has because of just how the math works out. That, you know, he can win Michigan, but then he needs to win like a couple more states. But if he wins, what is it? Someone in the chat will know this. It's like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and something else. And if he wins those, he's won. So that's why they're all about Pennsylvania.
Yeah, either Georgia or Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Mashad says, Adam, I just noticed your Trump warrior banner. Yeah, we have a temporary backdrop tonight. I did a gun show this weekend, hitting a bunch of Trump signs, getting some Elon petitions, and we had this as our tablecloth, and I fell in love with it. I had to put it on the backdrop for at least for a week or two. We'll see. It's not obviously not going to be a permanent fixture. Yeah, Randy says I have some $47 checks coming from him. I haven't seen any yet. Yeah, well, you know, what are you going to do? I have a strange feeling I might have to sue Elon someday, but
Oh, God.
but wait and see. We'll wait and see. It's okay. I'm in no rush. I'm not in a panic. It'd be nice to get him right away because we could put him back into the campaign. But, you know, there'll be future fights coming. So the money will be put to good use one of these days. Jay says, I saw some commentary suggesting that New York might be in play. Nope. Whoever's saying that's an idiot. Ignore them. That's crazy. That's retarded. No, New York is not in play. Folks, please. There's swings. The Trump campaign, from what I've heard, is looking really good in a lot of states, all the swing states, plus even like less swingy states like New Mexico and New Hampshire. But anyone saying Trump's going to win California or New York is out of their mind. Sorry. I'm just gonna tell you guys that right now. But anyway, what else has happened this week?
Yeah, he's with AB. Did you see AB was at his rally, and Le'Veon Bell?
No, who's this?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
Who's that?
NFL player.
NFL former. Yeah, he played for Pittsburgh, and then he played with for Tampa Bay. Anyway, so he's all in for Trump, and he's hilarious on Twitter.
Nice.
And then Le'Veon Bell was there. He used to play at Michigan State. So he had a Trump or the Tramp t-shirt on or something. Who are you voting for, the Trump or the Tramp? And so Holly Robinson Pete and Matt Charbonneau, he's a local Michigan State lackey, and Jamel Hill, that girl who she was ESPN, I think, also Michigan State.
Oh yeah.
They're all like, nah. Like Matt Charbonneau was like, you should have went to Ohio State. I'm like, okay, whatever, buddy.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's a saying in politics called winning the week. And Trump is just killing it. Like,
Well, today's her birthday too, right? And he
really? Today's Kamala's birthday?
Or yesterday. It was this weekend, and he like outshined her cooking fries.
Oh man, that's amazing. Yeah.
Well, didn't she at one point say that she worked at McDonald's?
Yeah, she lied about it.
Well, she
said it. She hasn't.
McDonald's. No
There's
way.
no evidence of it, I should say.
Then she said, "Well, I worked in front of a fryer." Like maybe someplace else she worked in front of a fryer.
She doesn't remember. Maybe she was at Burger King.
Of a fryer than she ever did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the other story this week was the media seized upon this like Drudge report, which is Drudge has either lost his mind or sold his website to somebody else. But there's a complete freak out that Trump had this crazy freak out at this rally where he just suddenly was singing and dancing for 30 minutes. And, you know, to me, I mean, like, I knew there's something fishy about this, and I wasn't really paying any attention to it. But like a full day later, I found the actual story, which is that he was doing this town hall event where he was taking questions, as Kamala does not ever do, and like two people in the audience had a medical emergency, and they're like waiting for an ambulance to come, and so Trump could not, you know, keep on answering questions because that would be crazy. And so he just kind of like rocks out with the crowd and plays some Trump songs and does his little jiggy dance and all that kind of stuff, and everyone there loves it. And this was like a whole media hoax for like a full, and they played this for like a full day. It's just so bizarre, but I don't think anybody's falling for it, guys. Like every single metric I've seen between now and 2020 is we're looking way, 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 way better. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm guaranteeing Trump's going to win, but like the world is preparing itself for Trump's presidency, and you can see it in all kinds of different ways. We got some geopolitics stuff we'll talk about later in the stream, but first, let's talk a little bit about. There's some other rumors going around. Yeah, John C. King says the hoax is still being pushed in the media. Elegant News says his McDonald's visit will give him content for the next week. Randy Guppy says no guarantees. Go vote, people. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, I turned in my ballot on Friday, and I'm still getting Kamala ads on my phone, which I'm frustrated by. But maybe it's going to be tomorrow when the absentee ballot records are updated, and then they stop sending me their garbage. Although I will say, another thing I've noticed about the Kamala ads, because I get them incessantly on my phone, is that they're the same ones. Like they haven't changed anything in a long time. I'm getting the same crap ads saying, you got the guy saying Trump is a billionaire and he wants to give billionaires tax cuts. You got someone else saying Trump is is totally anti-abortion, which I wish was true, but it's not. But the ads have not changed in a long time. Like they're on repeat. They don't have anything new to say. They don't have anything new to add. But anyway, so there's been some rumors going around, and there was this one. I saw this the other day. Which I don't buy any of this crap, but here's one. Have you guys seen this one? Nikki Haley's in talks with the Trump campaign to join Trump on the campaign trail for events. Like as if Nikki Haley is going to be back in Trump's administration. Like maybe he forgot when he ran against her. And maybe he'll be courting Mike Pence next time. And of course, then there was this other one.
She was at the RNC.
Oh yeah, she's kissing his ass for sure. But the way some people are spinning it, and this is going to go right to what Scott's going to be talking about this week, is like there's actually all this infiltration going into the Trump campaign from the establishment. Actually, he is one of these establishment figures. In fact, I'll show you. This is and maybe Scott, you might want to take the reins with this whole story in a moment here. But there's this group called Unshackled and Mitten on Telegram we've talked about that's got this. They're totally all disruptors. And for those who are fans of the show, you guys know we've talked about the disruptors for a long time. Scott's been covering them. That's like his beat for the past several months. But they have this Telegram group, and it's all people who are just fanatical, zealous Christina Caramo supporters. And they're now getting like openly anti-Trump. So they have this. Someone posted this the other day, and I don't know if it was. I don't think they identify. They never identify who they are that's doing any of this stuff. But they post this article, and here is the article they post because they read the New York Times. So the New York Times: a frustrated Trump lashes out behind closed doors over money, and then the article starts off: Trump took his seat at a dining table in his triplex penthouse apartment atop Trump Tower. And there's these all wealthy figures: Paul Singer, billionaire hedge fund manager; Warren Stevens, billionaire investment banker. And then they highlight this: Betsy DeVos, the billionaire former education secretary under Trump, and her husband Dick, as well as billionaire Joe Ricketts. DeVos's attendance was notable because she had resigned from Trump's cabinet the day after January 6, 2021 at the Capitol, criticizing his rhetoric in the lead up to the violence. And this is Unshackled and Mitten's take on all this stuff. So first they say, some will say that Trump's flexing muscle and playing 5D chess. Trust the plan. Which, okay, first off, some will say. Who is saying any of this crap? Now, I would say Trump is flexing his muscles, but trust the plan. That's Q. That's Q talk. That's these people's own talk. And then many others will say, "Oh, good, Trump will be funded by those conservative philanthropists from West Michigan a day." Who in the world is saying any of this stuff? A growing number will say, it's a projection. No surprise, all three have been participating in the globalist psyop for years now. All three, folks. Dick and Betsy DeVos and Trump himself. Trump is in the globalist psyop himself. So this, we love Trump more than anything in the world. This is what they're posting. Everything about January 6th was manufactured, including Betsy's outrage. They were in lockstep behind Tutor Dixon for governor. They were in lockstep behind Pete Hoekstra as court-appointed MI-GOP chair in 2023. Yeah, all the reasoning the judge wrote in the paper. No, he was bought off by the DeVos. And now they're in lockstep promoting early voting. God forbid you make sure your vote is counted early. God forbid you get that done so you don't miss votes. Weird how every political professional on the freaking planet says vote early. And they're trying to discourage that. And then, of course, they had, meanwhile, this was in bold, nobody's vote counts as there has been no remedy for a systemic election corruption. Your vote doesn't count, guys. Why even bother voting? And that's true regardless of if the winning candidate supports murdering 95% or 100% of babies, implying that Trump supports murdering 95% of all babies. Overtly anti-Trump stuff. So, Scott, you went on a trip to Oklahoma recently. How'd that go? Tell us about that.
Well, I want to get to that, but first, I just want to say that I was really sad to see this because, I think it's going to harm their readership, and they've been my marketing campaign at Unshackled. They've really run a lot of my marketing for me, and I'm really grateful to them for that. But they
must be half your subscribers. No, I'm kidding. You got a lot of subscribers. You got great people subscribing to you all over the country now.
I do. I don't have the biggest audience, but I have the best audience for sure. But yeah, I think that this anti-Trump thing is something that really started when Caramo was the state party chair. And I think that this group has been, the leadership of the group has been anti-Trump all along, just like the Flynn org, I think is anti-Trump. And even though they say they're for Trump, but they use Trump to try to build their audience. So they grift off of Trump. They align themselves. They say that they're for Trump, and it's like they say they're for Trump until they're not. And we saw this, but it really started amplifying here in Michigan as soon as Trump endorsed Pete Hoekstra, and they started going over, all in with the narrative of you're not, Trump always makes bad personnel choices and spreading that. And it's just one narrative after another chipping away at Trump's support. But really what they're arguing for here is hopelessness.
Yeah.
And that's something throughout the Flynn network. They are arguing just vehemently for hopelessness. They want their followers to be hopeless and angry and really in a position where they have no hope for the election system, no hope for the judicial system, no hope for law enforcement, that the only hope is to grab their firearms and take things into their own hands. And
go be violent and make us all look bad.
Right.
And discredit every single patriot by their own actions.
Right.
So you posted this the other day, or maybe this was earlier today. How do I make this bigger? Let's see here. Flynn's background, actions, and most brainwashed cult followers all convinced me that this is a communist operation. They're building a list of people who criticize their dear leader to investigate and exact their Stalinist retribution on. This is what happens when you have a citizenry who's ignorant of history, God's word, and our Constitution. They're absolutely nothing conservative, Christian, or constitutional about them. And this is the tweet that you were replying to, where this guy calls himself Mr. Truth Bomb. He says here, in 2025, Anons will commence the hunting of the shill. So clearly this guy is a Q fanatic. And he says, next year, the anti-Flynn shills, that means you and me, will cry that their actions and activities are protected by free speech. Well, why would we cry about that? They are.
We can stand on that without crying.
Yeah, it is about clearly demonstrating an agenda by certain accounts that were obsessed with attacking patriots and choosing to, by which they mean themselves, ironically, and choosing to ignore any information that diametrically opposed their clear agenda to confuse Americans in the country's time of need. Some apostrophe usage there. They need to be named and investigated by the proper authorities, which, by the way, when they say investigated by the proper authorities, they are not talking about the police. They're talking about themselves. Because they are the proper authorities, of course, not the actual cops who would just say, you guys seem like you're more to be looked into than they do.
Actually, I think that they're talking about the CIA and the DOJ because I think
that
these people are feds. I really
right. Yeah.
So they really are talking about the FBI.
Trust the plan. Even their followers in the comments will also need to be publicly named and investigated. DZDs or Diesel Ds. They're coming after you next, buddy. Whoever you are. By the way, welcome to the channel. I've never seen your comments before.
He followed me over. So.
Oh, okay. So all you guys in the chat, they're coming for you too. They're coming for you too. Questions will need to be answered as to who is funding such subversion and infiltration. Where's my money? Where's my money, Elon? Elon Musk is funding me at some point, eventually, I hope. Did it come from a broader domestic?
Right.
Anyway, FAFO, please tag such accounts in the comments below so a list can start to be prepared. Oh, this guy is going to be the alpha. What kind of hunter is he? He's hunting what? Who are we? Oh, anti-Flynn shills. Anti-Flynn shills. That's right. So, Patty, we're sorry for dragging you into this, by the way.
I'm not listening.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So, Scott, what happened in Oklahoma?
Well, Oklahoma it was an amazing trip. The people are wonderful. That just amazing hospitality. I flew into Tulsa last Monday. Spoke in Tulsa on Monday. Presented in Guthrie on Tuesday. In Oklahoma City on Wednesday. I talked to most of the state's legislators, most of the Republican legislators, and it's they have a strong majority in Oklahoma. We're having a meeting with lobbyists and stuff at the county party headquarters. So I was invited over there, and the state party chair introduced me to everybody, and I got to speak to them for a few minutes. And then back in Tulsa on Thursday night. And so I was doing the same basic presentation each night. And on Thursday night, Clay Clark and Jackson Lawmeyer, who is Clay Clark's pastor, apparently, and Flynn recruited him directly to run for U.S. Senate in 22. And he and I got into a little bit of row when I posted a video of him saying that if he lost his election, that we would face 1,000 years of darkness. And so I was asking him since he's a pastor, I was asking him for some scripture to support that. But he just got angry and called me a moron. But So it was quite a fascinating experience being there. They and Clay Clark and his mini me, whoever that is, that's dressed identically to him, and Jackson Lawmeyer, they were there before me. They were in their car in the parking lot over an hour before the thing started. So they were there to try to intimidate me and disrupt the meeting. The leaders within the disruptor faction in Oklahoma were all there as well, after they had spent all week saying on their Signal chats and Telegram chats, don't go to these meetings, he's a liar, and he's whatever, and saying, General Flynn says do not go to these meetings, it's an order. But then they themselves go, and so the whole video of the event is on my it's on biggertoothmedia.com. It's pinned to the top, and and I think it's a pretty good summary of all of my research over the last 10 months and into not just Mike Flynn, but the whole Flynn organization and network. And it's set up kind of like an Arabella type structure, and talking about what they've done within state parties, what they're doing within the church, and infiltrating churches and embedding human intelligence resources and assets into churches to spy on local communities and local parties. They're talking about activating on the precinct level. So this is getting churches more involved in the Republican Party, and this is Christian nationalism. It's not Christian. It's not constitutional what they're doing.
Yeah, we've been looking. We've talked about that Move It Christian thing that they've been working on for some time now.
Labadism.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all we talked about that on a previous stream, but yeah, Labby's influence is unmistakable. Real quick, Elga News asks, since Rescue Michigan X account has DM closed, can we post memes under the X live feed? I don't know what you mean by X has DMs closed. You can DM us on X, as far as I know. Although, by the way, that is not a good way to contact me. The best way is use the contact form on our website if you don't have my email address, because I check my emails much more than my Twitter DMs, which I very rarely get. Anyway. So I think the last time you were on stream, which was maybe 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how Mike Flynn himself has issued a fatwa against you.
That's right.
And now he seems to have dragged the Trump family themselves into it.
Yeah.
So first off, there was this clip, and I've got the clip handy here. So let's play this, and we will pause it as we go through it because it's remarkable. They're now talking to Eric Trump, and here's what happens. Do you want to set the table for us? I mean, you've seen this, so you know what I'm about to play. But
yeah, so this was 100% in response to my presentation, because at the end of my presentation, Jackson Lawmeyer, who's asking the question, and again, he's Clay Clark.
Here, let me bring this up on the screen first so we can see who we're talking about here. So hold on.
There is.
Okay, so he's off camera, but that's Eric Trump.
Right.
And here's let's let him start, and then we'll get to the part where you put him on camera.
In conspiracy land, a whole bunch out there on X, and it's about General Michael Flynn and how General Michael Flynn is a CIA psyop to undermine Donald Trump and to undermine the MAGA movement. And so I just thought, coming from you, Eric Trump, is General Flynn a deep state plant in the camp?
I guess we don't get to see his face yet. But it is coming up at some point. But anyway, so that was what's the guy's name? Jackson Lawmeyer?
Jackson Lawmeyer. And yeah, he said that he was going to ask this question at the end of the presentation. So he was there an hour early. He stayed through the entire presentation. He tried to interrupt a few times, and I didn't really let him. I said, you can ask questions at the end. And then his final state was something along the lines of, I'm going to ask this question of Eric Trump when he's on the stage with me on Monday. So and I think that if you kind of look at his body language there, it very, very much looked to me like Eric Trump was disappointed to receive that question. I mean, this is a question that was designed to divide Trump's base 3 weeks before the election. And this is not, I mean, politically is very, very stupid. So that's, it was really out of hubris that he asked this question. And I am actually expecting that there's going to be some fallout for Jackson Lawmeyer and Clay Clark over this.
Oh, I'm sure there would be. So he asked this question of Eric Trump, who is on a stage being filmed, which, I mean, if you're Eric Trump or really anybody being asked a question like this connected to any kind of political anything, the first thing you think is, there's nothing I can say that's not going to piss off somebody here. because what am I going to say? Oh yeah, we hate Mike Flynn. That's why my dad fired him. Well, obviously, all these people there, you've just alienated them, and presumably that clip's going to go viral and go all over the place. And all the disruptors are going to use it and say, yeah. So, but let's hear what let's hear what he answers.
Listen, I've known General Flynn for a long, long time, and he's been nothing but a total gentleman to me personally, and a friend.
That does not answer the question. That was not answer the question. Let's hear the question again.
And so I just thought, coming from you, Eric Trump, is General Flynn a deep state plant in the camp?
By the way, how would he know? How would Eric Trump know the answer to that question? Is General Flynn
He recoiled?
Oh yeah, he is furious about this question being asked. No question about it. Yeah. Hey, do you want to name some deep state intelligence assets that are plotting to sabotage your campaign? Would you like to do that, Mr. Trump? So they asked this question, and clearly he does not answer the question. It's a yes or no question. But here's what he says.
Listen, I've known General Flynn for a long, long time, and he's been nothing but a total gentleman to me personally, and a friend, and a friend.
Yeah, he's been a gentleman to him personally. I'm sure he has. Well, how else was he going to treat him? He's been doing nothing but attacking me personally for the past 4 years. Now, of course, Eric Trump also knows. I'm sure he's keenly aware. There was this movie that came out a few years ago called The Plot Against the President, produced by Amanda Milius, who is at least the daughter of a famous Hollywood filmmaker. Very much promoted by Mike Cernovich. A lot of people have seen it. We screened it in my Washington County Republican Party when we did a movie night once. Many people have seen this narrative, this story, which was that General Flynn was brought into the Trump campaign, or the Trump White House as, what was he, a national security advisor, I want to say. And within
NSA.
days, he was let go. He was fired, ostensibly for making a bad phone call that was actually perfectly fine. And that Trump should not have fired him, and that that set the tone for all the things that went wrong in the Trump administration from there on out, because he let the other side, the evil Democrat establishment, control his administration. But actually, there's all kinds of other things that Flynn was doing, like announcing policy he hadn't consulted with anybody on. Yeah, we're going to sanction Iran. I think he just came out and bluntly stated that at some point. We covered this on the stream a while ago. Anyway, the point being, Eric Trump surely knows that accusing Michael Flynn of being a deep state operative on camera would be a crazy, stupid, bad idea. So he's avoiding the question, as would anybody.
When Jackson asked me on the at my presentation why I think that Eric Trump is doing these events with them, I told him that I think that President Trump is running a counterintelligence operation against Jackson and Clay Clark and the whole camp, and I think that that's what's going on. And that being the case, I think that even heightens his own Eric Trump's discomfort and disappointment being asked that question.
Yeah. All right, let's finish the clip. It's not very much longer.
And a friend to Clay, and a friend to so many other people, and you want to talk about another person that they tried to destroy? They tried to destroy General. I mean, is every person, am I perfect in life? No. Is every person no? But I mean, this is the guy that fought on the battlefield for years, only to come over and they just treated him like garbage. I mean, like absolute garbage. And the guy's gone out and he's tried to fight for the soul of this nation. He's tried to fight for religious liberty and common sense and so many other things. And so, listen, guys, I hear these conspiracy theories about all of us. I actually gave you one before when I said that Don might not actually be a member of the Trump family, and I'm gonna see the weave come these conspiracy theories about all of us. I actually gave you one before when I said that Don might not actually be a member of the Trump family, and I'm gonna see the weave come back. A weave,
you're weaving.
So dark.
Yeah. He is weaving. He's right. He's ducking and dodging that question. Is what he's doing right there.
No, but Don Jr., I mean, that's what he was talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is his skin tone is like mine. He doesn't look like anybody in that family.
What do you mean? Trump? You don't think Trump has a rather dark skin tone? Because he's kind of famous for it. Orange man,
Don Jr. is olive skinned.
No? Okay. I don't know. Well, isn't Ivanka like pasty like me? So you know your kids could come up all over the place, wouldn't they?
Right. Eric and Ivanka are pasty, but Don
Or
Jr.
Ivana, I mean, his mother. I don't
the
know.
mom, yeah, and Trump, all of them except Don Jr. I don't know. Whatever. Don't tell him I said it.
I'm sure he's not worried. Like, why would that even be a thing? Oh yeah, Trump.
Well, because
Trump,
Eric just said it. That's why I brought it up.
oh well, but he's doing that to make light and change the subject.
Yeah, I know,
It's completely evading. Anyway, so that was that clip, and then there was this. They weren't done. So Scott, when did this photo happen? This is them in front of a bathroom.
Yeah,
and,
so this was Friday. Yeah, so Jackson and Clay texted this picture to me, and Eric did not know that they were going to do this, but they held up this sign that says "Hello, Rhonda and Scott, MAGA," and they held that up at the last minute. Rhonda is the Tulsa County chair.
Okay.
So she was the one that helped to organize that event, and she's public enemy number one because she's just a rock star. She has done so much to help Tulsa County and to all candidates. She really runs Tulsa County very, very well, and so of course she's their number one enemy because they always go after the most capable, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Tell me about it.
yeah, I can say that in the last week, I've had several people from former and even current within Clay Clark's organization who have come to me as directly or indirectly as whistleblowers. So there's a lot of unhappy people within his organization. He doesn't treat his employees well, apparently. So
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to learn that. I can't believe it.
So yeah, I will be diving deeper in with Clay Clark in the near future, but and he's an integral part of the Flynn network because he really does so much to run his media empire and this network of independent podcasters. So yeah, it's a fascinating thing, but I really do expect some consequences for both of them based on that behavior. I think that Eric Trump was extremely disappointed in them that they did that picture.
Oh, I'm sure he was furious. I'm sure he was absolutely burning inside after that whole incident happened. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see, folks. We'll see in the Trump White House if Michael Flynn makes a return and if all these colorful characters are suddenly somehow elevated.
That's not going to happen. I don't see a chance of that.
No. Alga News wants to know, have you confirmed them as employees or just random messages from Clay Clark employees?
I have confirmed. I have 2 former employees that have been talking to me today, and there are 2 current employees that I have confirmed they're not talking to me directly, but to somebody that I'm close to. So,
well, by the way, I apologize. I probably shouldn't have brought that question up. I hadn't quite understood it, and I realized we're kind of getting you to leak your story up before it's done. So sorry about that.
It's all good. It's going to take some time to research this, but yeah, I do have. I don't think Clay Clark has any idea what's coming. So
yeah. Well, something else happened, by the way, which was that since the last time we were together on stream, I was bad mouthing you actually because we did this video about this remarkable incident with this guy named Vem Miller, and I was going through this whole story, and I said I disagree with your conclusions from an earlier tweet about that this guy seems like he's on the up and up, and the police did the wrong thing. But since then, you have, I think, actually solved the case because I was talking about how this guy was clearly not a Trump assassin, but he also, his story didn't make any sense because he was lying about his firearms, lying about his passports, lying about his car, lying about being a sovereign citizen. And my working theory at the time was, it sounds like he might be a patsy for somebody else, but you made the point he's actually probably a shameless self-promoting grifter. So cheers to you for that, because I think that's probably, and maybe there's a little bit of element of multiple things too. But have you looked any more into this Vem Miller story? Is there more of that in being developed, or is this still kind of just a dead end at this point?
Well, Patrick Byrne I think it was this morning or last night, he put out, he's still in Dubai. I think he's been in the Middle East between Azerbaijan and Dubai for the last 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Who has?
Patrick
Ben Miller?
Patrick
Oh,
Byrne.
Byrne.
So
Oh, yeah,
Patrick
okay.
Byrne put out a link to a Joe Hoft story,
Oh boy.
and where he says that Vem Miller, the reason why they targeted Vem Miller was because he was about to break a story about 150 trucks, semi trucks, stuffed full of ballots, leaving Tacoma, heading towards various West Coast U.S. Postal Service drop-off locations.
Oh
And
yeah.
absolutely zero evidence for it whatsoever. But Vem Miller was somehow strangely involved in. He was the investigative reporter that was going to break that story, and that's the
Oh
reason.
man.
It's just,
Wow. Well, that
it was-
explains everything, ladies and gentlemen. That explains the firearms in his truck.
Yep.
His trunk, excuse me. Yeah.
the handmade license plates.
Yeah.
It's just
Amazing.
yeah.
Well, more on that as it develops, folks.
Well, I just,
Anyway.
I mean, you go to an event like that with a homemade license plate, you're begging the police to search your car.
Yeah.
And that's really what comes out. You're begging them to search your car. And if that's not true, all he needs to do is just post a picture of his registration showing that it's been registered and that he's got actual license plate. Post a picture of his license plate. He's already been doxxed, knows where he lives. You may as well do that. And that would prove him right, and it would prove the sheriff wrong. But he's not going to do that because he did this on purpose. He got himself in jail, and he even admitted that he just made an ungodly amount of money from this. He even admitted that. So
amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder when we'll see charges, but probably not till after the election. But
I don't know that
maybe.
we will. I mean, who knows? I mean, he might be just one of. There's so many people within the Flynn network that never see charges, like Ray Epps, who is connected with all that through the Oath Keepers, and he's also connected with Tim Ballard. He's longtime friends with Tim Ballard, and who's part of the Flynn network. So but there's so many people like that, and even Ivan Raiklin, who wrote the Pence card, and he wrote the manual for trying to overturn the votes on January 6th. And he put out that was his writing, and he was they never did anything to him. So they don't, and here he is, trying to incite a civil war and the so-called Second American Revolution, and there's no curiosity on the part of the FBI.
No.
So, and I think I think Vem Miller is probably a Fed too.
The charges he got were gun charges, so we'll see if anything happens with that. Allegan News says they don't see any. I haven't seen the charge of fake plates or passports yet. Well, we'll see. I mean, they're probably looking into it.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Before I go on to the next story, so I think Scott, we want to catch up before I move on to, because we got another funny story that Patty's been following for the last few weeks. All right, so we have another follow on here from someone that's been a topic of our show once or twice, and that is the soon-to-be retired township supervisor in Plymouth, Mr. Kurt Heisey. And there is actually a fella in the chat. For those who don't know, he just posted to say hello, Dwayne Zantop Sr. You can see there's Dwayne there and his lovely wife. And Dwayne apparently is actually going to be the real boss hog in Plymouth Township next year, according to Mr. Kurt Heisey. So let me show you. For those who haven't seen, Kurt Heisey, he lost his primary to a fellow named Charles Kermy, thanks in no small part to Patty here.
13.5 points.
By 13.5 points, yes. He got the snot beat out of him in his primary. And he is he's taking it like a dignified human being by posting this on, this looks like, is this Facebook or is this Instagram or something?
Facebook. This was his Kurt Heisey for township supervisor page, so he changed the name. I am blocked from it. As par for the course, that's what he does.
Yeah, so there's Kurt Heisey for Plymouth. He says, oh, he's just such a patriot. At least 3 of our department heads are looking for jobs as township supervisor Zantop takes over in 30 days. Weird. Dwayne Zantop was not in the ballot. Charles Kermy was the one that beat him. Hashtag 13%. Oh, is he butthurt?
Well, I don't understand that. So he's pointing out how bad he lost. I don't understand the point of that hashtag.
Yeah, that's not a good thing you really want to draw attention to, is how
I'm not
badly I lost
sure.
my
I mean,
voice
then
there.
he had that other one where he's crying that, like, people
Yeah.
were calling asking why he wasn't on the ballot.
Yeah, I've got that here. Let's go through some of these posts here. So this is Kurt Heise. This is interesting. This is a doctored post. This is a doctored post.
Yeah.
And there's Kurt Heise for Plymouth saying, "It was my pleasure today to officially sign the 2024 to 28 collective bargaining agreement with our Plymouth Township firefighters." Ooh, locking in that sweet union contract before you leave.
He's going out on he's just burning it all down.
Represented by Union President Chris Smith. Now, I don't know. I wouldn't call Chris. I mean, he is a union boss, but I'm not trying to use it as derogatory. Chris Smith seems like a good guy. Kurt Heise looks like a big fat baby. If he runs for office again, that's what you tag him with, boss baby Kurt Heise. But there he is. Thanks to our board of trustees for approving this common sense agreement. I hope we'll attract and retain the outstanding men and women we deserve. Of course, Kermie voted no on the contract. I'm sure he had no reason whatsoever to vote no on the contract.
Well, there was no data supporting the need.
Yeah.
They presented absolutely no data to show that we needed to hire more people.
Oh, so you mean he's just like, using taxpayers' money to enrich people who are, an interest that might actually, generate political support from in the future? Imagine my shock.
Yeah, there was nothing like, oh my God, we can't meet our demand. We can't this, we can't that. Like, nothing substantiating this.
Yeah. Al Ganu says, did he not collect enough signatures to be in the ballot? No, he just straight up lost. He lost his race.
We don't know. I mean, we'll see if he's going to try to do a write-in campaign. But
as a write-in? Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Write-ins usually do so well. They can run some tough campaigns. Alex says, why does Michigan have more voters? We'll talk about that story in a moment, Alex. We have just some fun stuff to cover first. So anyway, this is the doctored post.
Yep.
The original post looked very different.
Yeah.
It looked like this. And in this one, he says, of course, Kermie voted no on this contract as ordered by shadow supervisors, Dwayne Zantop, Shannon Price, who is Shannon Price. What's Shannon Price exactly, Patty? He's some kind of like political official.
I'm not sure. I've met him once.
I know he ran for state house because I worked on Jeff Noble's campaign after he won the primary against him. So he's some.
I didn't know. Like I said, I don't know him. I met him once, but he's he lives in Plymouth Township. He was a supervisor, I think, at one point, or ran for supervisor, something. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. And Wilk, which of course is friend of the show.
Matt Wilk. Yeah. Shadow supervisor at Matt Wilk. Yeah.
So it's like a whole committee of supervisors. They're like, it's like an invisible legislature behind the.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, apparently he realized this was kind of uncouth and took out this part. Yeah. As if, you can just change your post after you post it and, the internet never forgets and all that. But I guess you didn't know that. Anyway, I'm sure this won't ever be an issue for him if he.
Matt Wilk in the comments.
He's not supervising from here on the couch. Yes, I'm sure he is. Dwayne says, Izzy loves me. Yeah.
Well, that's mutual. Yeah. We know that.
Yeah.
So
you guys will be in his office, right? Sitting over his shoulder, Charles Kermie, for the entire time. You guys aren't busy or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
so here's another post you made. Is this more recent, Patty? Is this before that last one or after? I think it's after.
I don't. They're all in the same. He's just
Supervisor Zantop. There you go, Dwayne. You should be flattered.
I mean, is he not? His wife is running for judge. She's an incumbent judge. Okay, it's not a contested election.
Who Kurt Heise's wife is?
Yeah. His wife is Catherine Heise.
Okay.
Does he not realize how this makes him look? I guess he doesn't care how it makes her look.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
This is bizarre. And then he posts this. The clerk's office informs me that dozens of voters have been calling the office.
Yeah, my name. Zero.
Dozens of voters have been calling, asking at the counter why my name isn't on the ballot. Where's Kurt Heise? That's what happens when you have a 32% primary turnout, 100 plus spoiled ballots, and 2,000 absentee ballots never returned. Sorry, I said no do-overs. He chose poorly.
That's what happens when you send 18 mailers full of lies and trash, and you waste over $100,000 of your donors' money, which over 70% were outside the township anyway. But it backfired. You can't do it. Number one, you piss off the whole community. You invite lawsuits, right? And you talk to people like they're garbage. But yeah, no.
Yeah. And what he's actually doing here is he's blaming the voters. He's saying, people are calling me asking why I'm not on the ballot. Well, you should have voted for me, stupid.
Like, well, people were talking about the events of last week. Like, he couldn't even, can't say it. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
How many times you got to hear
what
it?
happens when you don't vote, guys.
Yeah.
You know what, Kurt? You are coping. All right, I won't do that again.
Anyway, but yeah, so we'll see. You know, there's still, we still have some general election to get through. Some of his lackeys made it through. So, you know, we'll see. There's a lot of people not going to vote. There's a lot of Republicans that are not going to vote for the Republicans on the ballot because they're
of the dumb crap that Kurt Heisey's been doing.
Huh?
Because of the dumb crap Kurt Heisey's been doing.
Well, yeah. I mean, he sent a mailer against a Republican trustee candidate.
Yeah.
Just last week.
Dumb. John C. King says lower vote totals may be better. Ignorant voters are dangerous voters. Yeah, absolutely, guys. You know, I mean, it's low turnout is good. It means the low information voters are turning out in smaller numbers typically.
So anyway, so we'll see. We'll let you know what happens.
And then here's the 13%. There it is, right there, guys. Kermit got 56.6% of the vote. Kurt Heisey got 43.3%. So he had the incumbency advantage. He got smoked.
He got smoked, and his clerk, who I thought they'd be lockstep, like winner sink or swim together, he won by 11 points.
Wow.
Against someone who really didn't campaign that much and entered very late. So, you know.
Yeah. Mark Ashley Price says, see, this is one of the many reasons I love Trump so much. He is unique by far from everyone in politics, including other Republicans. Oh, by the way,
is he?
Until about 5 minutes ago, I forgot to start the Rumble stream, so I wasn't even looking at anyone who was chatting on Rumble. So sorry, folks watching on Rumble, but I have your comments. I have your little comment feed there now, so I can see what you're commenting now. If you
anyway, so that's the fun stuff we have going on here. But
pathetic.
The lesson is what? Pay attention to local.
Yeah, you got rid of the big baby.
I mean, they wasted $180,000 on early voting.
Yeah. A big, fat, stupid baby has lost his seat, and now he's butthurt.
Yeah.
It's sad. You hate to see it, but you love to see it. So, anyway, so a couple of things I want to chat about. We haven't talked about geopolitics in a while. So, the biggest event in our lifetime is coming up in just a few days. And I'm not talking about the election, of course. No, I'm talking about the BRICS summit in Russia. It's coming up in a few days. Which, for those who have not been following this, you know, BRICS is basically the majority of the world's population. It's like Russia, China, India, South Africa, Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, and there's more. I'm forgetting some countries. There's going to be more joining, doubtless. This thing is coming up like this week. But besides that, the bigger story is they've been working all for the past year on a workaround over the U.S. dollar, and in fact, a Russian official made a snarky remark and said, "Yeah, the U.S. election. Who cares about that? This is the biggest event in geopolitics in the year." And I think they're underestimating the importance of the U.S. election, which is fine. They're the Russians, but they are right about this. Even if Trump wins, and even if Republicans win everything, we are looking at a absolute seismic shift in global power over this whole thing, because the hegemony of the dollar is going away. And what they've been working on with these countries for the past year is not a new currency. In fact, Russia actually explicitly said, we are not going to have a new currency like the euro. There will be no brick. There'll be no brick, because fundamentally they're not doing what Europe did. The whole point of the European Union was to centralize power and turn Europe into one hegemonic thing, one big blob. They don't want to do that. But what they are going to do is build an alternative to the payment system, to SWIFT. And it's going to be blockchain based, and the details we don't know about, but basically it's all about countries running away from using the US dollar as a reserve currency. And this is going to be economically devastating for the United States, period. It is going to mean economic sanctions will be completely meaningless. They will do nothing except for hampering our own ability to trade with foreign countries. And they will be what? China, the biggest industrial power in the world with 1 billion people. India, another 1 billion people. Russia, which is now the biggest military power in the world. Yeah, John C. Kingston, another reason we are not better off than we were 4 years ago. True. But what that also means is that Trump is going to be walking into a White House where we are drastically degraded from the power we had 8 years earlier when he first walked in. Alex says war will happen long before BRICS is real. BRICS is real now, buddy. BRICS already exists. It's 11 countries, probably more next week. BRICS is already a thing. It's been happening. We just haven't. Our news just hasn't been covering it because it's a sad story, and Remy doesn't want to talk about it. So yeah. So that's happening.
Well, it can really it can be blamed on Biden and Kamala too, because the reason really what incited all of this was after the Russia invaded Ukraine, then the Biden administration retaliated with these absolutely unbelievable sanctions where they kicked Russia off of SWIFT.
Yeah,
and so that they really this is a matter of their own economic survival in order to form this coalition with other countries that are willing to do business with them because they weren't able to use SWIFT in order to do foreign transactions.
Yeah, and countries like India and China.
Right. This is common. This is the Democrats right here. This is they're doing 100%.
Yeah. Now, I would say there is a substantial constituency in the Republican establishment that has been as blind to this as anybody else. The neocons constantly underestimate everybody else on the planet. They never think about getting into wars like with any constraints because our power is infinite, our resources are infinite. Oh yeah, sure, we'll have a war with Russia over Ukraine, and we'll just support Ukraine and we'll win. And that's all that's going to happen. And the reality is, like right now, and I saw someone on X posted, I think it's on my feed someplace, the mood in Ukraine is pitch black. Zelensky just did another tour. He went around Europe wanting more money and more weapons. Everyone's like, we're tapped out. We're tapped out. We're done. So then he's going to have this big meeting in Germany in Ramstein, which, can you believe it's a real place? And Biden just canceled the entire thing. He's like, nope, no conference, not going to happen. Ain't doing it. Mike Johnson, who remember when he first became Speaker of the House, first thing he says is, we're gonna back Ukraine. Let's get more money for Ukraine. Now he says, I'm tired of backing Ukraine. And so then Zelensky says, this is like just in the last couple of days, we are unveiling our peace plan. He has this peace plan. He's been shopping around all over the world. I've got this peace plan. And like everyone could just guess what was going to be in it. Let me guess. NATO membership, money, weapons, permission to strike into Russia. And of course, that's exactly what it is. Plus, according to Zelensky, some secret annexes, which you can't tell you about. Gee, what could those secret annexes possibly be? Let me guess. Be under the nuclear umbrella of the United States and a new yacht for Zelensky. The secret annexes in this peace plan. So apparently today France says they like it, but the United States is like no. Germany says no. Everyone's just tapped out. The West is running away from Ukraine. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And meanwhile, how does the whole world look at this now? I mean, all of this just makes us look weaker. Do you guys see? Here, let me show this real quick. Hold on, I gotta put this on the screen. This is amazing. Russians are now using motorcycles to overcome drones because they used to be worried about artillery fire, but Ukraine's all out of artillery. So now they're using drones for everything because they're getting cheap drones from places. So what Russia does now is they use motorcycles to ride in, and they're all separate. So that, first of all, they can outrun the drones, but secondly, they're all grouped apart. So I'm going to take Patty until she comes back on. But here, this is, here, watch this. This is amazing. This is Russia's. I'm not going to play this whole clip, but here's Russia's motorbike squads.
Мотоцикл — это одно из тактических превосходств. То есть ты тактически обходишь быстрее, маневреннее, продвигаешься к окопу, стреляешь в этот момент с мотоцикла. То есть много можно сделать на нем, чему не сделать пешком.
Штурмовики специально тренировались вести огонь на ходу. Правая рука на руле, в левой автомат.
It's just like in the Lord of the Rings. We have DPR coal miners digging caves and.
I'm not going to play the whole clip, but my headset there. But yeah, they now ride in on motorcycles and just start taking down Ukrainian units. The other thing they're doing now, I couldn't believe this. They're using drones that have fiber optic lines. So, fiber optics cables are like fishing line, and they have these fiber optics that are like miles long. So what they do is because they're not using remote control anymore. They're using the fiber optics for the control, so they can't be jammed with electronic warfare or anything. And I mean, this is all just like crazy new battlefield technology that Russia has, and we have no freaking clue about. And it's crazy. Like, this is the entire world is building these new military technologies, and we are just absolutely, completely clueless, totally tongue-tied. And our military is like, yeah, we still working on hypersonic missiles, and yeah. And meanwhile, by the way, we're just gonna have a little war with Iran right now, because guess who else is in BRICS? Oh, just Iran. Like, they're already moving. Russia's got their missile defense systems in Iran now. We'll see. Well, we'll see what's going to happen. But here's the thing I would say. And again, folks in the chat, feel free to disagree. If Israel just stopped right now, they would look pretty dang good. They said, you know what, we just look what we just did. We humiliated Iran. We assassinated this Hania guy on the day the president in Iran was inaugurated. We carried out we killed Nasrallah, the top official in Hezbollah. We just killed the top official in Hamas. We have devastated Hamas militarily. We have killed tons and tons of Hezbollah officials in Lebanon. We have proven that we are nobody to fuck with. And okay, right now, let's call it a day. If they did that, they would look pretty good. But what are they going to do? Oh no. They're going to carry out, and they're going to attack Iran. And people have been talking about this for months. I've been talking about this for months. I guarantee you, it's going to happen before the election, folks. I guarantee it will. Tell me I'm wrong, but I guarantee it's going to happen because they think, just like Ukraine did, we will have their back. We will have their back. We have the support of the Americans. That is a bad bet to take. Now, admittedly, we like Israel a lot more than we like Ukraine. But there are limits. There are limits to America's military, and Biden has strained them. Trump's going to walk into office ready to support Israel. But then they're going to talk to the Pentagon. They're going to be like, Mr. President, we are really low on artillery rounds. We give them all to Ukraine. We are really low on missiles. We gave a lot of that to Ukraine, too. We are really low on tanks. We gave a lot of those to Ukraine, too. We actually gave a whole lot to Ukraine, and now it's all gone. And by the way, we don't really have any much manufacturing base left. So yeah. John C. King says Kamala and Joe were scolding Israel to accept ceasefire since late last year. Okay, but they could accept a ceasefire now. This would be a good time to. They're on top. They could go back and say, look, we just killed the number one guy in Hamas, the guy that we've been talking about for years, like the guy. We just killed the number one guy in Lebanon, the guy. We killed lots of his top officials, lots of them. We humiliated the Iranians. We can go to Saudi Arabia now and say, you see, you still want to be friends with those guys? How about you be friends with us instead? Let's get those Abraham Accords going again. But I don't think Netanyahu's going to do that because there's this other thing in the backdrop, which is also right before October 7th, he was being investigated for corruption. And as soon as the violence stops, that's coming back. And he doesn't want that. So the war will continue. And we'll see how well that turns out. I don't think it's going to go well. Because every day, our military gets more strained. And China's gets bigger. And Russia's gets bigger. Because they have manufacturing. And we don't. And I don't think any president, not Trump, not anybody, could lift heaven and earth enough to change the dynamic we've got there. So we'll see. But to his credit, Trump was just asked about this, and he says, I do not want to pursue regime change in Iran. He said that. Trump just said that. So I think he's got better instincts. He's learning how people want to drag us into war. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what your take. Am I off base here, or do you think there's going to be a war before the election? I think there will be.
I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. So, you know, I could see Israel. I mean, Israel definitely seems to be trying to amplify things, but yeah, I don't.
Hey, Scott, real quick. I'm sorry, but because since Mark is going to go, he was just talking about this in the chat. I didn't get to it. I was going to mention this, but Mark says there's been an assassination attempt on him. Says he was shot at yesterday, which is amazing. So, Mark, we'll get you on the show one of these days, and we'll talk about that. So, Mark, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you there. So get some rest, buddy, and we'll talk about this one of these days. I'm sorry, Scott. You can, now that I've gotten that out of the way, continue.
Wow, that's terrible. I'm sorry, Mark. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised. I think, you know, most of my focus is on what both Democrats and you know, I would call them not really Republicans, but those people within the Flynn camp that are trying to incite violence. And
yeah,
I think regardless of the outcome of the election, I think that there's going to be unrest. I think there's going to be more if Trump wins. Because I think the Dems there's more dumb Dems than there are dumb Republicans, but there are a lot of dumb Republicans too. So yeah, but I don't know. I would just be surprised if that happens. I mean, we only have 2 weeks, so
yeah. Alga News says Iran will rate the people of Iran do not support it. No, I don't think they do. The new president clearly does not want to get into war. Their economy is good. They would have no reason to want to get into a war. I think Israel wants to get into a war, but we'll see. We'll see. Now, I will say I did lose another prediction, though, or I'm losing another prediction. I predicted some weeks ago that sometime before January 20th, the pressure will mount to force Biden to resign and allow Kamala to become president, either to rig the election, influence the election, or at the very least to get her down as the first woman president. That does not seem to be happening. And time's running out for that. So I think, Patty's back with us. That may be because Biden will not budge on that, which I guess I can see. So I've been wrong before, and I'll admit it when I am. But
unless they do it and he doesn't know, like they did with him dropping out of the race.
Yeah. Well, he had to. At some point, he had to acknowledge it. But yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, after they did it, maybe.
He didn't send that tweet. That's for sure.
No, he didn't.
Although I don't know. So yeah, as Trump had mentioned in that opening bit, it was what Schumer and Pelosi, and I'm sure Barack Obama made happen. In fact, I don't have the clip handy.
Did you
but
see
you guys
the
have seen
reading?
that.
Did you see them at Ethel Kennedy's memorial?
Yeah. Well, there was the joke one, which is hilarious. But then there was also that I want to say the New York Post or somebody got a professional lip reader to read it, and the official one was basically Obama acknowledging that he was the one that bumped Biden off. So we'll see.
Yeah, his head was turned a lot of ways, so I don't know if they could see that. But I mean, he went on The View. He went on and did a press conference at the same time she was on The View, right? He did one other thing, and I don't remember what it was. But he doesn't want her to win.
Yeah,
he put on a Trump hat too.
Yes, he did. Diesel D says the Federal Reserve must die as it's kept the Democrats in power. Yes, that is a thing. That is absolutely a thing. They're manipulating the interest rates to help out Kamala Harris for sure, to give an economic bump. That's why you should audit the Fed, as Ron Paul has been arguing for years and years and years now. All right. So one more thing before we go tonight, because my throat is killing me. We've covered a lot of topics tonight, but I did want to mention this because Alex actually had mentioned this a bunch earlier. The big story about 500,000 new fake voters in Michigan, which you guys might know this. You probably know this. Michigan's population has not changed in decades. So there's, but just a little bit. So all the more reason why it makes no sense whatsoever that we have 500,000 fake new voters in any way, shape, or form. And apparently, Benson's office is denying this. So what's gonna happen with this? Well, I'll just say this. Number one, I assume that RNC will exercise every legal option they possibly can. Number two, in 2020, remember there was a big story about there being tons and tons of new voters that came in like right at the last minute before the election. You guys remember that story? It was like right before the election, Democrats, the voter roll suddenly swelled in a major, major way.
Right.
But, and of course there was the big ballot dump in Detroit. However, I remember looking, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you looked at the vote totals in Detroit, the city of Detroit in 2016 and in 2020, they were not all that very different. They were somewhat different, but they were not astronomically different. They did not correspond to that sudden giant influx of voter rolls. John C. King says students at Michigan University. Well, that's the last minute voter registration stuff. Yes, they definitely did that to an extent. But first off, that's not going to be different this year. So the question is going to be, will there be massive statistical anomalies in the results that correspond to this massive statistical anomaly in the registered voters? So if there is, then that will certainly mean shenanigans are going to be will have taken place. But I don't think that's likely. I mean, we shall see. Alganu says the motor voter is how we got 104% registered. SOS and local clerks are not doing their good job to keep rolls clean. Yeah, and I will say I've gotten contacted by a lot of people who have stories of in fact, Representative Brad Paquette in the state house put out a tweet saying, my mother who moved away years ago has not been registered in Michigan in years, and suddenly I get a ballot application for her, an absentee ballot application for her in the mail. Now, a couple of things on that particular story, and actually I'm not sure this is exactly what Brad Paquette said, but there are private organizations mailing out absentee voter applications to people. Their data might be bad. Their data might be garbage. And therefore, the application just might not be valid. So just because you get an absentee ballot application does not mean that that person has been illicitly put back on the voter rolls. That would have to show up in the qualified voter file. That may also be happening. But I will just say this. The Republican Party is going to exercise every single one of its legal options. They do have a strong, substantial number of professional attorneys here that they frankly did not have in 2020. They've been actively recruiting poll workers. They've been actively recruiting poll challengers. They have been actively working to get people in all steps of the process. They know what places to target. I would be shocked if they are completely unaware of any of this stuff. Now, that does not mean crazy stuff couldn't happen, but it would be hard for courts to ignore any of this stuff. So I, for one, am optimistic that it's not going to be as big a deal as the disruptors want it to be, to the point where they say, don't bother voting, your vote's not going to count. How many votes were stolen in 2020? As many as they could possibly take. And that's going to be not that much different from the number they're going to take this year. So everything else being better for us in 2024, which it is, better candidate, better campaign, better messaging, better everything, better organization, better mobilization. I'm feeling pretty good about the election. I'm not guaranteeing it, folks, but I think we're on track to win, frankly. So that's my prediction. What do you guys think? We're going to win this one?
What do you think about the state house?
I don't know the mechanics well enough in enough districts to know for sure. But we only need to win 2 seats to get majority back. So we'll see. I know Dale Benicki's been running a great campaign. I don't know what's going on in Traverse City. I don't know how Riley Linting is doing because I haven't been watching it closely enough.
I think Riley's working real hard.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I wouldn't predict it because frankly, I have trust in neither the expertise nor the integrity of the HRCC under Matt Hall, because he's a scumbag and an idiot, but could be wrong. We'll see. Christian Charette says there's some major dark money activity running afoul this election. Self-proclaimed Republicans are supporting it, 83 entities. There's at every election. I mean, yeah, the amazing thing is with all the poll numbers we're getting, and yeah, I know, and Rick Snyder is terrible too. Although, say what you will about Rick Snyder, I think he wants the majority back because the Democrats have dismantled his entire legacy as governor. So I think he does want to win. If nothing else, I think he does want to win. Mindy says also people have to remember that the RNC had that stupid consent decree. We have better leadership now.
Someday somebody needs to explain that consent decree to me. Like,
yeah. So like 20 plus years ago, there was an out-of-court settlement that basically prohibited the RNC from engaging in election integrity efforts in elections.
Why would we ever agree to that?
Because they're dumb. That's a gross oversimplification, but I think basically the reason would be because their case did not look good. So anyway, Mindy says, I hope they took the 6 years to get really prepared for this election. I think they have. Alganu says our SOS Benson said they overvoted because they have 1.2 million inactive records. Inactive records can still vote and request absentee ballots. Yeah, I mean, you should be removed from the voter rolls if you're
slated for removal. Did you see Elon going after her on Twitter?
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
Back and forth a couple times. Yep.
Oh, cool. Good.
Yeah, she accused him of disinformation, and he went right back at her.
Well, good, because, you know, folks, very, very likely she is going to be their nominee for governor in 2 years. And all this election integrity stuff's going to come back to haunt her. So we'll see. But as I say, I'm feeling pretty good. So, all right. You guys got any events to promote before we go?
It's been 122, so.
Huh? I know. We said that too.
Right.
I think things are looking better for us to be in 2022.
She knocked us down. Like, businesses failed all over the place, and she's sailed right in for re-election. So people are stupid.
Yes, they are. I completely agree. Anyway, you guys have any events, things you want to promote before we call it a stream?
No event. Well, we have a couple phone banks that we have planned coming up, but I mean, early voting starts next Saturday, guys. Not next, but Saturday, 6 days. Yep. So, you know, there shouldn't be events right now. You should be getting out the vote.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the name of the game.
You know, I'm still I got a few things for events now. I'm like, no, sorry, I can't support. Like,
yeah, I'm getting the last of our mailings done right now, and I'm getting my last of my Elon petitions done because that gig expires tomorrow night. And everything after that is 100% election day operations.
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game, guys. I guess I should say election week operations, or just turnout operations, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, all right, that will do it for us for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Patty, Scott, thank you for joining us. It's been fun as always.
Thank you, Patty.
Until next time, thanks again for all you guys do for liberty.
Yep.
Peace.